beautiful people. This is Mrs. M, and I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about some interesting people I know. Once upon a time, in the land of literary terms, there lived the Trope family. It was an extended family full of lively characters. And each trope had a different personality. Sisters, Metaphor and Simile, were very popular around town. The two sisters would try to outdo each other. Metaphor kept trying to compare herself to anything and everything. "I'm a rock," she'd yell at her sister. "I'm a diamond in the rough." Simile absolutely hated when Metaphor did that, but she always had a comeback. "Yeah, well, I'm like a feather on a breeze," or "I'm as strong as an ox." The two sisters could go on and on and on, comparing themselves to everything from snowflakes to erasers. Everyone in town knew Metaphor and Simile. They were probably the most two outgoing Trope sisters. But the other sisters were making names for themselves as well, and sometimes they acted a bit weird. Take personification, for example. She's a hoot. Personification goes around pretending inanimate objects are real. She talks to trees and stop signs. She tells us that the tree is waving to us. Seriously? Trees don't wave, but don't tell personification that. She takes all those things to heart. And then there's Apostrophe. She's always getting confused with the girl in the neighboring town with the same name, and who likes to insert herself in conversations and take the place of things. But Apostrophe Trope is different. She's one of those girls who also likes to talk to things that aren't really there. For example, she goes around town quoting poet John Donne saying, "Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so." Why anyone would want to talk to death is beyond me, but she does. She can also be found talking to daggers, like in Romeo and Juliet. "Oh, happy dagger, this is thy sheath, there rust, and let me die." Of course, there are a bunch of other tropes. Take Illusion, for instance. Illusion is super smart, and you really have to know your stuff around her. History, the Bible, songs, artists, sports. She knows everything. She might say something like, "I was surprised his nose wasn't growing like Pinocchio's." Well, this refers to that story of Pinocchio where his nose grew whenever he told a lie. But if you haven't seen the Disney movie or heard any 4-year-old talking about it, you might not know that. You really have to be on your toes around her. She tried to confuse me one time by saying that chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream was her Achilles heel. Well, that meant that her weakness was her love of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. Achilles was this guy in Greek mythology who couldn't be hurt because his mama dipped him in magical water when he was a baby. Unfortunately, she held him by the heel, so the magic protected him all over, except for the heel. Hyperbole and meiosis are twins who are complete opposite. Hyperbole exaggerates everything, and meiosis understates everything. So if you fall down and scrape your knee, hyperbole will tell you that you're bleeding to death, and meiosis will come along and tell you it's only a flesh wound. Meiosis also calls the Atlantic Ocean the pond, and when the house down the street burned down, she put a sign out front that said, "Closed for remodeling." Meiosis can be pretty funny. But one of my favorite trope sisters is Irony. She can be pretty funny if you listen and watch her closely. But you have to watch her because what she says isn't what she means at all. One time I tried to explain something to her and she said, "Well, that was as clear as mud." I knew two things right away. One, what I had told her was not clear, and two, she'd been hanging around Simile too long. Another time I told her she was going to be in trouble for being late to school, but that she shouldn't be upset. She said, "I'm not upset," and promptly burst into tears. I swear that girl just needs to spit it out. She also likes to tell stories. Like about the time Bill Gates, the computer guy, won a contest, only the first prize was a new computer system. And she loves stories like Bernice bobs her hair because Marjorie tricks Bernice into bobbing her hair, only to have Bernice cut off Marjorie's braids in the end. She thinks those things are pretty funny. Sometimes her stories are sad, but they always end like you wouldn't expect. There are many more Trope family members. They're all part of that rhetorical device and technique group that those silly English teachers bombard you with each year. Here you've met a few, and I hope they stick with you. Let's find out. Go to the quick quiz in your email to see if you remember who they are.